Hi, everyone. This is Ayana Sumlin, aka Miss Duchess, and we are on the podcast of TVO with Miss Duchess, which TVO stands for transparency, vulnerability, openness, and honesty. So we will be focusing on healing for this platform and for this space. And today, in this episode, we will be talking a little bit about myself and how I got the journey started and where I am now. So tune in.
So we're just going to jump into it. When
Yes.
we see your Instagram, we have this public image of you, and what comes to mind is health conscious, confident, beautiful, bright, and stylish. Can't forget stylish here. But there's so much more than what meets the eye, and that what people see when they first meet you. And I think we've been friends for going on like 6-7 years. We met our junior year of college.
Yes. Period.
And these 6-7 years, like, I've seen you wear so many hats, and I've seen you going through so many transitions that you really have a story to tell. You have not only a story to tell, but there's so much to you that people should learn about, and I think it can inspire somebody to make a positive change with their life. So with that, I feel like talking about then will give people a lot of context of like how you got here now. So let's start with college. We met our junior year at Rutgers.
Yes.
Studying accounting.
Yes.
What made you even pick that major?
So I originally went into business because in high school I had a financial literacy teacher and his name was Mr. Murray.
Shout out to Mr. Murray.
Yes. Oh my goodness, I love him so good, so bad. But yes, so he was a great teacher. He taught us. He incorporated real life experiences in our classrooms. So we were dealing with like fake money and stuff, and like he would have our savings account. He would to prepare us for interviews, and he would also. He would just be so down to earth and he taught us a lot. I feel like everybody from Highland that graduated from there talks about Mr. Murray and how much he had an impact on everyone's lives. And so he really made me fall in love with business. I liked it. And then we watched Catch Me If You Can. That was a good movie.
Come on.
Leonardo DiCaprio. And he also taught us about credit unions and how we should not bank with the bank, but bank with credit unions because their interest rates are better and they give out more loans and things like that. Like they're more freely when it comes to that. So they're actually for the people rather than just for themselves. So he taught us a lot. So he made me fall in love with business. And then one day he saw me in the hallway and I didn't have him anymore. And this was like probably a year or two later. And he was like, hey, I was like, hey, Mr. Murray. He's like, hey, Yana. He's like, hey, Yana. He's like, don't forget me when you're making millions. And I was like, I
Come
giggled.
on, Mr. Murray, with the affirmation.
Right. I giggled because at the time it was just funny. And I was like, I won't, I promise. And then, but now looking back on it, it's like he saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself yet. And I'm very appreciative of it. I'm very appreciative of him. So fast forward. Now making the decision to actually go to Rutgers. My mom went to school for accounting. She actually went to Rutgers too. She went to Rutgers Camden too. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just go with accounting, And then my mom was like, this lady that used to live on her street always told her, well, if you go to college, she was like, and you major in something, always have a backup, like do a double major. Because if you don't focus on that one, then you can always jump into the other one and fall back on that. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just do a double major then. Because accounting and finance, they align with each other. And then I was just like, all right, I'll do accounting and finance. And then that's how I chose my major. So
That's how we got here.
Exactly.
And look, teachers matter. Teachers that love their jobs matter.
Exactly.
Because they pour so much into us. And just that influence of Mr. Murphy, he got you on the right track to help us cross paths, okay?
Yes.
All things.
Yes, Mr. Murray. He was cool. I hope he's still there because I really want to go back and see him.
So when we crossed paths, it was at like a school fair. I think it was like all the clubs were out.
Yes.
And when I decided to go into accounting, I was like, there's nobody that looks like us in these classrooms. But we all when I say we all, our friends from NABA
Yes.
is how we originally connected.
Yes.
That community that we kind of built amongst each other to just like persevere and just like follow through throughout college, it was like such a big support.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really made me want to stay in school.
Right. Exactly. Like, do we have to leave?
Was ready to go.
Right.
But community was so important at Rutgers, and that's what helped me stay the course throughout my journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we all went through a lot of different things, especially towards the end of our junior year, going into senior year.
Right.
And we still pushed through.
Yes.
If you would like to share, was there like a defining moment that happened in college that was a challenge that you were able to get through, and how you got through?
All 4 years.
All 4 years were a challenge.
Yeah.
How did you stay the course when no one looked like us? No one looked like you. Okay, how did you stay the course?
I was always focused. I was always like, when it came to school, I was like, when I wanted to get something done, I would get it done.
Yeah.
And I knew how important education was for me and just being knowledgeable. I like to learn, so it wasn't a challenge for me to keep going. Were there trials and tribulations along the way? Yes. Mm-hmm. Every year there was something going on.
Every year.
Listen. Every year. And also dealing with like toxic relationships and stuff like that. I'm not even gonna say relationship. And also my dad had went into cardiac arrest. So it was a lot that was going on like all 4 years. But I would say it was never a problem for me to keep going. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, and actually I didn't even look at the people like, when I went to South Africa, I was super isolated. Everyone went with their friend groups, and I was probably like the one black person out of like, in the business school, I was probably the one black person out of maybe 12, and it was like 300, maybe 15, and it was 300 students like on that trip all together. Mm-hmm. So that felt pretty weird. I like isolated, like, but I was also
yeah.
I was also pregnant during that trip, so it was like,
yikes!
I was super emotional. I'm like, why am I so? But I didn't even know, honestly. But being in NABA, it helped a lot too. Like just dealing with Dean Dietrich and Professor Aziz and like the outside world, like the other people, just not that they were irrelevant, but they didn't affect the way that we handled things with like NABA and how we went to like the Kappa parties and stuff like that.
Just to name a few.
Right. And then, so we were always pretty much involved. So I don't think it made it challenging for us to be inspired or keep going or wanting to learn. So, and we have open minds, so we always were willing to adjust and be a sponge and just keep going.
Yeah.
And also, I would say my freshman year, the Career Center came to our accounting class, and they were talking about Big Fours were looking for people to work, and they were looking for interns and things like that. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll jump right on it. So once I went to the Career Center, I applied for KPMG, and I applied for KPMG. And then I think I did Deloitte too.
Yeah.
And then KPMG called back. And then I had 2 interviews. And my interviewer, he graduated from Rutgers. So it was like, I'm like, yeah, my guy right here, okay? But
in the club, we all feel.
So in that, and since I had got that so early on, it inspired me to keep going because I'm like, I'm with one of the Big Fours in the entire world.
Facts.
I'm young. I'm like one of the youngest people that actually got this. So it was kind of like a bragging right for me. It was because I was proud of myself. I was like, okay, like I don't have to worry like about a job once I graduate. So I secured that.
And this happened around, you said your sophomore year?
I think it was freshman. It was either freshman or sophomore. I can't remember. It was one of them. But, so I would say being in NABA.
So I think you brought up a couple cool points, or a couple cool things. When you first started your journey, it was because your teacher, and then it also helped of the support with your mom having the background as well.
Right.
And then we're in school, and then you find a cool community, NABA, National Associations of Black Accountants.
Yes.
Um,
We lift as we climb.
we lift as we climb. Okay, that's our mantra for the org.
Yes.
And so you have that community, right? So that helps when you're going through different challenges throughout school. And as we mentioned before, throughout college, we had some challenges. But you had a vision and you had focus, and you were locked in to complete that.
Right.
So we graduate college, and by the time we graduate, the pandemic hits. You got your degree, and now you got your job secured at KPMG.
Yes.
But now we're also isolated at home.
Yes.
So let's talk about that a little bit. How
Child.
how was that time?
First of all, I already knew that the job wasn't for me, right? The 9 to 5 wasn't for me. So
Wait. So how did you know? Or when did you know that accounting was really not for you? Before the pandemic?
The winter internship 2019. I knew damn well that shit wasn't for me. I said, bro, I gotta go. I can't do this.
But you stayed.
Exactly. But I stayed because I knew that was my security once I graduated.
Okay.
So, and I knew I was about to be making good money, like, you know. So, yes. So,
The
how was
pandemic
that?
hit. Come on.
That I felt like I was trapped. Especially the workload was a lot. It was a lot. During busy season, I would log on at 9 a.m. and I probably wouldn't log off until like 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. And we were working Saturdays. So it was a lot. But I feel like it would have been better if I was able to go to the city, commute to the city, take the train, go into the office, but no one was allowed in the office because I think at the time no one was, and then eventually they started letting people go, whoever had the shot. So I was like, I'm not getting that, so I stayed home. And it was just very overwhelming. It made me realize that we give our lives, we give so much time to these jobs, and it's just we don't have time for our personal lives. We don't have time to actually focus on ourselves. And I think that's a trap, it's a setup. But
you didn't allow yourself to stay trapped.
Exactly. I mean, for a point of time I did because I was in the kitchen one time I was in the kitchen and I was working and I was just looking out the window. Like I felt like I was locked up. Like, I really did. Like, seriously. Like, just lock me up right now. Like, I felt like I was looking out the window. Like, oh, everyone's outside playing, like, walking. Like, and I'm just in here stressed. But it was a good job. Sheets. Right. It was a good job. It was a great job. I feel like anyone that wants to move up in accounting world and auditing and things like that, then I would say KPMG is perfect for them. But I just wanted different things. Once I worked there for a year and a half, I realized, like, yeah, I can't do this no more. So I went to my mom. I'm more of a dreamer, and my mom's more of a realist. So when I went to her, and I was like, Mom, I'm about to leave this job. I probably had about like 4,000 saved up. And I just felt like, okay, like, I don't know what I'm about to do, and I'm leaving this job. I can't stay here no more. My mom was like, well, that's crazy. She's like, I don't think you should do that. And I said, I am.
Said, hold up.
Right. She's like, I don't think you should do that. That sounds crazy. And I was like, look, I'm about to leave. I was like, I don't care what you're saying and what you got going on. I said, I'm about to leave this job because it's not for me. And she was like, once she knew I was serious, she's like, all right, look, listen. She was like, listen.
Hold it.
Right. Let's figure something out. And she's a planner. So she plans like 3 years in ahead, 2 years in ahead. And I admire that about her because she's really a good planner. And she was just like, okay, I'll help you out for a year or maybe 2 years, I think she said. She said a year, and then she helped me out for an extra year. She was paying my car insurance and my car payment for a year.
Shout out to the supportive moms out there.
Exactly. Oh, my gosh. What? I would be somewhere on the wayside.
Allowing her daughter to dream.
Right. So she was like, okay, I'll help you for a year. And I was like, all right, cool. So I started getting into modeling, and I didn't think about acting at first, but it was more so modeling, and I was doing like photo shoots and prints and stuff like that. And then I started doing runway. I got my first runway gig.
Ooh.
in New York, and I had found them on Instagram. But that was cool. I just did it because I was wanted to do it. It's not like I want to do runway. I'm more focused on print and commercial. But that transition in itself was hard because that was like another spiritual awakening for me.
Ooh.
Because I wasn't getting that biweekly paycheck. I was finding myself. I really didn't know myself because I didn't have time to focus on myself. So I really didn't know myself. So it was getting to know myself and shedding and unlearning everything that I thought was normal. And mind you, during this time, I was alkaline. So
let's change the flow for a quick second, or the direction for a quick second. When the pandemic started, were you already alkaline, or was it our senior year?
when the pandemic started, I was alkaline. Yes. Well, no. Actually, I wasn't. January, February, March, and April, I was still eating meat, but I was still eating alkaline because I was staying with my dad.
Gotcha.
And so I was like back and forth. But when May came, May 2020, that's when I full throttle alkaline. Why? Because remember the party I had? My mom cooked all that food.
Your birthday party?
Yeah. No, when we graduated.
Oh, yes, yeah.
She cooked all that food. And she had mac and cheese, barbecue wings, like they're my favorite, cabbage, all that. And I was eating probably 3 months alkaline at this point. And maybe 2 months. And then I ate that food. I ate the mac and cheese and the chicken. I'm like, yo, this don't taste like nothing. It tastes like rubber. And I instantly regretted the fact that I even did not get food from my beds in Philly, like the alkaline food with my dad. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know at this point, when it don't taste like nothing, and it's not nutritional for me, I said, oh, nah. I was like,
I'm not getting no benefits from this.
I got to switch. I got to switch. I got to do something, you feel me? So I did that, and then ever since then, it's been a journey. And I'm thinking, like, sometimes I'm hard on myself when it comes to this alkaline lifestyle. Like, I'm probably more strict than my dad now. Like, it's gotten to that point. But I also got to realize, like, I've only been doing it for 4 years, almost 5. And even before that, it's been, 22 years, 23 years that I was eating meat and all that other stuff. So my body is still adjusting to all the changes. Yeah, the changes.
So you really decided to make that transition because your dad was a big influence. And you liked the feeling you were getting by eating alkaline.
Right.
So that was like the motivator to be like, you know what? The other food not even hitting anyway, and it's not good for me. Fuck it.
Right. But I also was dealing with early signs of arthritis. I had a cervical spine disorder. My hair started thinning out. But I feel like that had to do with stress too.
Yeah.
Just stress. And it was damaging my body. So, yeah.
So now you're alkaline, and you left the job. You left the stressful job.
Yes.
Just to pursue your dream in modeling and fashion,
and be more stressed because the money wasn't good.
And it's hard. It's really hard when you make a transition. And you make a leap like that because it's like, yes, Mom, thank you for covering the bills, but like, I'm so used to my like $2K plus checks from my Big Four firm,
right?
And now
I have to go and ask.
Shit's a little rocky,
right? Yeah. So I'm not really the type to ask, like, especially my mom. Like, is he like I'll be pulling, like, it really be hard for me to ask.
Yeah.
Like,
Mom, so I need a little $20 real quick.
Like, and if you can't do it, it's okay. I understand.
But I would really like that $20.
Right, exactly. So,
I think that was important to bring up because how did you make money?
I did. First, I was doing Uber. I was doing Uber Eats, Uber rides, and I was doing DoorDash. And then it was just costing too much in gas, and then also oil changes and things like that. So it wasn't balancing. So I started. I think my cousin had mentioned Instacart to me. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll try it out. I did one Instacart, and I made more money in doing that than I would do, 2 trips or 3 trips for Uber. So I started doing Instacart, and it works for me. It helps. And then also you're not exactly, and you're not spending that much in gas because your car is parked while you're shopping. So
You know, you made a really big change in life by like deciding to not go the traditional route and stay with the big four to pursue your passion. So what would you say is something that you learned throughout that experience? Because not only have you changed your diet, right? Now you're changing your career and you're navigating a new space, right? I'm sure there's challenges. Yeah, let me rephrase the question I was going to have. I know there were challenges that you experienced when you decided to change your diet. For someone that's deciding to go alkaline, what is something that they should be prepared for?
You
Like
know,
one thing at least.
everyone's journey is different, but
Let me add to the question. You're deciding to go alkaline when your whole family is majority meat eaters. The only person that wasn't was your dad.
okay. I would say prepare for the isolation. Prepare for the loneliness. Prepare for you seeing things differently than the others around you. Um, you start to wake up to a lot. It opens a whole other can of worms. Like it opens up a lot. Like not just simply just you changing your diet, but how you view the entire world changes.
In what way? Give us something.
I would say you're not in a matrix anymore. Like you're outside of it. You are not living in an illusion anymore because your perception changes, your thought patterns, your reaction, your feelings, your emotions, it all changes because now I'm no longer eating meat. I'm no longer eating dead animal. I'm no longer eating flesh where they're feeling all of these emotions when they're being sacrificed. I'm eating live stuff now, so I'm a live spirit, right? I'm a live energy. I'm a live being. So that's what the body needs for nourishment.
Yeah. So your sensitivity increased or heightened when you thought about like animals.
Right, exactly. So you just think about everything. You think about the whole entire universe and how you become one with it. And you can actually feel it as time goes on. So, yeah, and then animals start attracting to you because it's like you're nature now. Like you're a part, like we already are, right? But once you become alkaline, it's like you're even more in tune and even more connected.
It's like a DNA upgrade.
Exactly.
Right? And an energetic shift.
Exactly. You're switching your whole entire DNA up.
And
the whole DNA structure.
As you're going through this shift, right? A big thing that I think I would like people to like know is that it was not easy for you. And when you say prepare for the isolation, the reason why you said that was because your family gave you a hard time that were meat eaters for you making this decision or making this change.
Right.
And you would think it's something healthy, like you ain't killing nobody, nothing.
Exactly.
But what I've learned is people bond over food.
Yes.
Yes. You don't realize how attached we are to food and how that's like a bonding thing. So when people can't really relate to you in that way, they're trying hard to find something to relate to or connect to, but it doesn't always translate that way.
Exactly, and it goes in phases, right? So at first I was bullied, ridiculed, and talked about, and then, and I feel like they only did that because they're not used to change. They're not used to they go with what they know, and that's what they're comfortable with. They don't like being uncomfortable. Yeah. So me coming in there, it's a mirror. It's a reflection for them to see how fucked up they really are eating or whatever they're consuming. And then also I'm losing weight too. So it's just like, oh, you're so skinny. Like, what's wrong with you? All this stuff. So yeah, it was pretty much bullying and ridiculing. And then it got into a little bit of respect. Like, oh, okay, like, all right, I see you. Like, I respect you. I admire you. You keep going. You keep doing it. I can't do it, but I respect you for doing it and still going. And then now it's just like, okay, cool. Like, I'll try to incorporate stuff like healthy eating and things like that. So it's just like when they come to me and they'll say stuff that I mentioned to them, or because the whole time I'm thinking they're not listening and things like that. So whenever they come to me and mention it, or they'll say something that I said, or they'll try and start eating better, and I don't put no pressure on them because I don't hold them to no expectations. I don't hold nobody to no expectations, but I know that I'm gonna live this lifestyle. So if you do want to come to me and get answers, I'll give them to you. I don't have no problem with that. So And now it's just them. And I realized, like, you got to lead by example. Like, I couldn't talk anymore. I talk to my face turned blue, right? But they're not going to, like, they'll hear me, but they're not going to listen and probably implement it unless they actually see it. Yeah. And I feel like that's what a lot of people need, is just to see.
I think that is so fair to say that things happen in phases. When you first start something new, everybody was like, man, that shit corny, or that's dumb. Why would you do that?
Right.
I want my Chick-fil-A nuggets.
Right. Exactly.
Chick-fil-A? You like going Chick-fil-A? That's what a lot of people said when I tried to do vegan for the couple of years.
I remember.
We won't talk about that. But
Kay done switched up for me.
I'll make my return when I make my return. But
I'll be waiting.
You were bullied and they made fun of you for that. And then when they saw, like, oh, this isn't just like a phase that I'm going through. This is just, I'm not just doing this for like attention.
Right.
This is really my change in lifestyle.
Right.
People respected you because they saw the consistency and the dedication.
Right.
Even in the face and different environments, you're still like, no, this is how I eat.
Exactly.
I will bring my own food to the function. And she does.
And I, in fact, do.
Okay. Cheese sticks right here. This kale salad right there.
Yes. Dedicated.
More than kale salad, but you know.
Right.
And now it's like you're starting to inspire people. People are starting to be like, you know what? Let me try it out. I see the benefits. You thriving still. Right. I can do it. It's achievable. Right. Because, you know, a lot of times when we're making changes for our health, I feel like in the Black community, people are just like, that's some white shit. You want to go hiking, that's some white shit. You want to meditate, getting out in nature would be good for you.
Right.
It's not exclusively for white people.
Right. Exactly.
Eating healthy is good for you. Exactly. Come on. Let's deprogram.
Exactly. That's a lot of people are programmed. They're so used to, but I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all, because it's, I always say this, it's like being in a relationship with a narcissist.
What's like being in a relationship with a narcissist?
The relationship with people and society, the relationship with people and food, the relationship with people and drugs, the relationship with people and comfortability and convenience. So it's hard to get out of something that you're so accustomed to. It's hard because once you change and once you decide to pivot, you have to look at yourself, and a lot of people don't like to do that. A lot of people don't know how to do that, so they stop at a certain point. They always stop at a certain point, and they don't progress and they don't grow beyond that point because they can't look at themselves. So,
damn, that was deep. Because really what you're like touching on is like mirrors in a sense. Like people see you making these changes, and if they're not making any changes to like elevate their life, they have a little bit of resentment and like bitterness to you. Like, who does she think she is walking around like this, you know?
Right.
And so that's where the bullying comes from, because they hate what they're seeing and they don't want to see, you know what I mean, themselves.
Right.
Or like, for instance, like say I'm not living to my fullest potential. I'm not taking risks and betting on myself. But I see you out here being fearless, going after things, you know? Being brave, because it really takes bravery to just say, I'm going to go against the grain and like try to forge my own way.
Right.
And if I see you constantly making progress and I'm not making progress with my life, it's going to be frustrating.
Exactly.
And it's easy to make fun of somebody because it's just like, yeah, let's all join in. It's strength in numbers, you know?
Right.
And eventually it comes to a point where it's just like, listen, you can make fun of me and say all that you want. I'm still progressing and you haven't changed not a lick. So what are we going to do with this now? You want to stay hating, or do you want to, or am I going to, are you going to take a call to action to be like, all right, listen, it's time to get my shit together. A could do it. I could do it. I'm capable. So I'm saying that to say, you stayed the course, and now you're inspiring a lot of people to make changes here and there, you know, baby steps. But it took a lot for you to get here. Yeah. So you did modeling for 2 years, and then eventually throughout your journey, you're just like, you know, I think I might make a return to corporate.
Back.
You gain some perspective doing things on your own, and now you return back to corporate. And why is that?
So I used those 2 years to just get to know myself, to build myself up, to build up a new foundation. I had to rebuild everything. So everything that I was used to, everything that was normal to me, it was no longer there. It no longer existed. So now that I'm building this new skin, this new foundation, is that okay? I took pieces from my old foundation. It was faulty. I took pieces from there, the strongest pieces, and then I put it into and helped make build my own new foundation. So I knew once I built that foundation, once I got out there, no one could waver it, no one could break it, no one could move me, no one can make me doubt who I am. So that's why I spent that much time as well, just getting to know myself and getting grounded with myself and actually having those hard conversations where I was picking myself apart, picking myself apart and kind of like breaking myself down all the way to the point where it was nothing, like it was bare, like I was naked, right? So, and then just building back up on based on my values and what I value in life and just what I focus on and what keeps me going. So yes, so losing train of thought.
It's okay. We could bring it back.
Bring it back.
So, with you deciding to return to corporate, you're taking what you learned.
Okay.
From
Yes.
okay.
I just needed a little
A little pressure.
Okay. So yes, now I'm back in corporate, and now it's just like I see things so differently, but I'm moving differently as well because I have a different purpose. So it's like, okay, I'm here for a different reason. I'm not here because I'm so excited. I got this my first job, things like that. No, it's just here is like I'm building something. I'm building stability, but in a different way.
You're not just chasing a bag.
Right, exactly. So I can stand in my ground and be comfortable with who I am and still come up to this job and know that it's not my end all be all, but I'm grateful and I'm appreciative to be here and be in the space and be able to learn.
And use it as a resource to fund your dream.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That and, might get into trading a little bit. Might get into trading a little bit. But
you said you might get into trading a little bit?
Yeah. So, and then I feel like that's important too, just multiple streams of income. Just being able to indulge in your passions and being able to also have that balance where you don't get attached to it either, because that's not who we are truly, right? So it's more so just being in tune with yourself, but then also having fun.
Yeah, and honestly, like you mentioned earlier, when you took that break from corporate to pursue your passions, and I keep bringing that part up because during that time, like you said, it was like a 2-year break where you really had to sit with yourself and figure yourself out. Right. And this is also at the start of the pandemic, or during the pandemic.
Right.
So, girl, you was doing a lot of shedding.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, like a lot. Like, I have about like 20 books in my room where it's just like free writing, like journaling, like writing, and I made sure. Like, it was getting to the point where my mom like came in my room, and my mom is not really an emotional type of person, so she came in my room. She's like tried to get me out my room because I was just stuck in my room.
Yeah.
For those 2 years, and she was like, you want to listen to this song? Do you want to go here? Do you want to like? She tried to like get me up out of that rut. So
because you was in hermit mode for real.
No, for real. And then so I was just journaling a lot, writing everything that came to mind. I just started writing everything down, whether it be a quote, whether it be a lyric, whether it be my feelings, whether it be emotions, whether it be anything. Yeah. Anything that came to mind, I just wrote it down.
Yeah, in the moments of isolation, I feel like that's when God, you really talking to you, got that direct connection, no distractions, and that's also where your creativity can flow. Because you're just like, so many downloads you're getting, and you're like, let me jot it down. There's so many ways I can take this. Exactly. And in that darkness, right, came about light, because now it was like, you hated that job, but now you can see your perspective of like, I was just going for the money. At a certain point, just going for the money was not a strong enough purpose at all. I need to make time for my passion.
Exactly.
And you poured into your passion, and it was a healing journey for you because, like you said, it broke you open or you broke yourself down. And when you go through all of those things, you now are able to go back to the drawing board and be like, I can look at things from a refreshed way.
Right.
Not only can I still make money and go to corporate to fund my dream, I'm funding my dream.
Right.
And now I got a more stable way of pursuing what I really desire, like, in my heart's core.
Right.
So that whole journey and this whole conversation, we're just really touching the surface of who Miss Duchess is, aka Ayana Sumlin.
Yes.
And we're just touching the surface. Like, there's so many more layers. As she mentioned, throughout college, you had a toxic relationship that you were going through, navigating that. And that's a story for another day. You got to tune in to really get into more of that.
I was laying next to the devil.
Laying next to the devil.
Uh-huh.
It's so real. Really real. And bullying with the family, going through isolation. It's so many things that this whole podcast is like going to touch on. And I say all that to say, with you deciding to do this podcast, with all that you've experienced, what are you hoping your viewers can get out of it?
To get to a space of healing and just knowing themselves. I feel like that's extremely important. Whatever they do, they go out and accomplish the awards, whatever. All of that is material. All of that is outside. So I feel like just getting people to get more connected with themselves and God, the Most High. Because essentially God is within us, right? So getting to know you is getting to know the Most High, the divine. It connects you better. It connects you more. It connects you in a different way.
Come on.
So a lot of things that you didn't see before, you might see now once you get to know yourself. And love yourself. Because I always say unconditional love is real love, but self-love is the best love.
But, I feel like a lot of people say that, and it's like, what does that mean? Like, what does that even look like? Self-love.
Oh, self-love? Creating boundaries. Not letting the takers take too much. Because, the takers don't have no limits. Yes. Discernment. Creating those boundaries and just listening to your intuition.
Yeah.
Look, I would say self-love is also trusting your gut. Well, I would say trusting your heart, following your gut, but listening to, I would say your mind. Like, listen to what's going on in your mind and also be aware of it, but follow your gut.
Yeah.
And then just trust your heart.
Just trust your heart. So I think this would be a great time to, end with a really good takeaway from everything that you've experienced in your journey, right? What is something that you've learned and that you want people to, really, 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 hold on to or take heed to? Because when I hear your journey, the key word that comes to my mind is, inspiration. You took inspired action when you decided to pursue accounting. You took inspired action when you decided to say, you know what? Fuck this job. This shit ain't working for me. You took inspired action when you decided to say, I'm alkaline,
Yes.
And throughout every phase of your life, you took inspired action.
I would say don't be afraid to be you. Don't be afraid to stand out. Don't be afraid to seem different. Don't always follow the crowd. Just be yourself. Because I feel like once you follow the crowd, you lose yourself. So, pour into you. Pour into you. And if people don't have the same capacity or not reciprocating what you pour out, then you got to create them boundaries and put a little limit up. A little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying a wall where you block yourself off from others, or connecting with others, but just know, distinguish between the balance. I would say the balance between giving and receiving. So you got to give in order to receive, but don't expect anything to be given to you. So.
And above all things, pour into yourself.
Exactly.
Okay. So, yes, viewers, y'all are in for a treat with Miss Duchess TVO.
Yes, TVO. Yes. So TVO stands for transparency, vulnerability, openness, and honesty. And that is what this space is going to be for. Is for people to be open, for people to be transparent, for people to be themselves and be comfortable with being themselves. And it's okay. There's no judgment here because nobody God, okay?
Okay.
Nobody's the most high. So no judgment. There's an open space. So yes.
You're in for a treat, guys.
Yes, yes. And if you like this episode, subscribe and follow. We appreciate it.
Do. See ya.
Stay tuned for more. Bye. Love y'all.